Welcome back to the Real Estate Talk podcast with myself, Oliver Ingalls, and my esteemed co-host, Benji Weinberger. This is the podcast that gives you the inside tips, the hints, and some of the best nuggets into landing into the prime and super prime marketplace in the real estate sector. Benji?
So today we are going to be talking about how to get into real estate. And the main thing for us of this podcast is giving back to you guys and girls, whether you're in the industry or not. We want to give as much value as possible. So today, whether you're in real estate and you want to get into prime and super prime sales, or you're in another sector and you want to transition into real estate, we're going to give you a couple of tips on how to do that.
Yeah, this is one that we probably have the most questions about, don't we, on our DMs? So many of you reach out to us asking, like, how did you get into it? And we've touched on that in previous podcasts, but now we want to really give you some nuggets of what you can go and do today, tomorrow, to start that transition. Where do we start?
Well, look, there are a couple of quick wins, which we will go through and explain. But for me, the overarching key thing is consistency.
Yeah.
And if you look at the people at the top end of the market, they are unbelievably consistent. You know, if you look at your Danny Daggers, Gary Hersham, you know, the top brokers, they have been unbelievably relentless and consistent. And so often people will, you know, let's say they're trying out social media and they'll do a couple of posts. If they don't blow up their TikTok or their Instagram handle within 10 posts, they just stop and they give up. But the people who consistently push and don't stop until they get there. So if you are, you know, young or new and you find yourself a great job on the weekend, or you find in the local agency and it doesn't go according to plan after the first month or two, that's not the time that you stop. That's the time that you dig deep. I mean, it took me 6 months to do my first deal in my first agency role. So for me, I think the key of whatever cheat code or whatever plan you have, it's be consistent.
That's a wicked bit of advice. And I think actually I was speaking to an agent the other day who just closed her first £20 million deal. She said to me, it took her 5 job interviews before she was given a chance in real estate.
Wow.
5 job interviews. And exactly like we said, Benji, a lot of people would have been like, oh, mum, dad, like, I can't do it. You know, everyone's just saying no. And what else shall I go and do? And consistency is like the most key thing to have, not just within starting, but throughout your career. One of the things I wanted to talk about was, how do you actually find that first job? And like, who do you target? Where do I go and work? Who do I work for? And I think this is really key, because a lot of people at the higher end of the market, myself and Benji included, have had brilliant mentors. We have tried to attach ourselves to people where we learn the most. And I think there's a lot of younger people sometimes in the industry who see an extra £2,000 or £3,000 that I could go to, and I'm going to skip to that job and skip to that job. And then suddenly they've been at 6 different agencies within the first few years. And one of the most key bits of advice I want to give is, once you find the best agent advisor in your neighborhood, stick to them like glue.
Yeah.
Okay, you will learn so much more than just trying to chase the pound coin.
And that is one of the cheat codes. If you have someone who is going to take you under their wing, which is, don't get me wrong, it is hard to find A, the right person, and B, when you find the right person, to get them to be your mentor. Because if they're at the top of their game, they're going to be busy and they might not have time. And unfortunately, some people can be selfish, but you know, we're always open to helping people. But that is one of the cheat codes, is if you find that good person that Ollie just said, you circumvent so much hardship of having to learn and grow, because you can use them as a cheat code to get you to where you want to so much quicker than what you would if you were in a corporate, you know, as a lone wolf.
Definitely.
Grinding by yourself.
And it was really interesting what you just said, because, you know, we're super busy and we get a lot of people reaching out, and they're, you know, and so I suppose the way I would think if I was young again would be, okay, I really want to work for, you know, Steve or Ollie or Benji or Jess or whoever it may be. How do I get into that sphere? How do I get a seat next to them? Coffee. Okay, that's the hardest bit. And I would be thinking, okay, if I send in my normal CV and I put on an email saying, hi, I'd love to work for you, here's my CV, blah, 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 you're probably not going to hear back.
Mm-hmm.
if it was me and I'd be like, okay, how can I add value to this guy? Like, can I say, look, I'll go and work for free. I want to go and open up the property before you get there 10 minutes before a viewing, and I want to turn all the lights for you, or I will drive you around between appointments because I know you're super busy, and then you can use that 10-minute journey to do more business. Suddenly our brains would be like, fuck.
Well, so the two people that I have, one person that I had with me on work experience and another person that I'm in talks with at the moment, were the two messages that stood out from everyone else. The first one was, I want to do work experience with you, but the only way you're going to take me on is if I add value. So I know someone that's looking to sell. If I can get you through the door, would you at least have a conversation with me to see if I can come and do work experience? He was with me for 2 weeks.
Wicked.
He's since got me into 2 valuations, and at some point when the timing is right, he'll come into my team. The second one was, a guy messaged me who's at university. He wanted to shadow me, have a bit of work experience, but in his message, he said, it's not about him, it's about me. So I've realized what value I can add to you. I'm studying something like marketing or SEO at university. I want to help you with your socials, grow your audience. And by me giving you my time, you can give me a bit of your time and teach me about real estate, because that's what I want to get into. So the other thing that I would say is, make sure when you're sending a message to someone, if it's just, hey, can I have work experience? Can I work with you? You're joining the queue of hundreds of other people. You have to stand out and set yourself apart from the other people that are looking for exactly the same position. And whether that's offering your skill set or something that you can bring to the table, you have to add value to that person to make them want to work with you and mentor you. And unfortunately, that's how it works, right? Because everyone has a finite amount of time. And if it's mutually beneficial, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Well, we do it now. I mean, look, we try to get in with potential clients who are super busy, entrepreneurs who run businesses and haven't normally got time. So we sit back, don't we? We go, how can we add value to that person? What can we offer that gives them that little nugget where they go, it's worth me even having a 5-minute conversation or a 10-minute coffee? You know, a great one that I received recently was a video from somebody as well, you know, who was on you know, they recorded it, sent it to me. And again, it's engaging, you know, and again, they ended it being like, I know at the moment you're getting up early to go to the gym. Like, when you're on the treadmill, can you call me for 10 minutes? And I was like, wicked, brilliant. Like, you know, I'm on the treadmill, not doing anything. And actually I've got 10 minutes and they were prepared to get up at 5 a.m. That shows that would go above and beyond the 99% of people straight away. Yeah.
And also tying into that, as we touched on before, is the first thing, just bringing it back, is the consistency element. Yeah. So when I was first trying to get into Knight Frank, I was graduating from university and I was like, shit, I need to get a job. I need to start earning some money. And I messaged Daniel 4 times and he pretty much ignored me. It was when it was peak of the market, kind of 2014, 2015. And on the 5th time, I said, listen, if you can't help me get a job at Knight Frank, you know, that's where I really want to work. I'll just go and ask someone else. And then he set me up an interview. But I asked him 5 times for that interview. And interestingly, the 2 guys who I'm in touch with, one who was with me on work experience and the other one who we've been going back and forth on email to see how we can make something work, they have been relentless. And they keep on messaging. And they have so many people that message and then I'll never hear from them again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they're not going to get the opportunity. So you have to be relentless and consistent.
Yeah. It's a great tip. Right. Secondly, who do I target, Benji? Like, who, you know, what agencies do I target? Who do I want to speak to? Like, who would you advise that the person watching now goes and speaks to?
Me. That's a really good question. Listen, I guess you need to think where you want to be. Is that person there? Is that person going to help you get there? Are they working geographically in a location that you are close to, that you can get to, that you're passionate about? Because, you know, there's agents that will have certain niches in different markets. And for example, if you live in, let's say, Chelsea, and that's your passion, you know, you might not go and speak to an agent that has branded themselves as a North London agent. It might not be the one for you. So I guess the interests have to be aligned. And the beauty of social media nowadays is you can go and follow 100 different agents on social media, and they'll all tell you exactly what they do and what their expertise is, and you can kind of find your niche that way. But I think also you want to find someone that you're aligned with, that you're going to have similarities with, that they're going to want to take you under their wing, that you can find common ground, which obviously we're always trying to do with our clients, find that middle part of what I can say, well, I was at the football and I know you were at the football, and then you kind of got that opening. So I guess finding people that you have similar interests with. But I think also, you know, I guess it's cliche, but it's hard to find out before, but it's, you want to find the mentor who's going to be a good person, who's going to look after you.
Yeah.
And I think we're fortunate that we've had mentors that want the best for us, whilst it's benefiting them because, you know, we give back, but it's finding a good mentor who's a good person who's doing it for the right reasons, I'd say is really important. But it's hard, right? To find the right mentor for you. It's very difficult.
Yeah, I echo that. And I think one thing that I did early in my career, obviously my career started outside of London in the home counties for the first 3 or 4 years of my career. And I kind of actually wish that I had got into London sooner and into the areas that I wanted to do sooner, because whilst I had a great upbringing and I learned loads in the first 4 years, I only kind of really it's almost like a second career coming into London, because you don't know anybody, you don't know the areas, and you're starting to build your network, you're starting to build your community again. And if I had done the first 4 years in London, I'd know even more people around here now and would have an even bigger network.
So on that point of network, and going to direct this one to you because you've just had someone join your team who wasn't previously in real estate. So obviously what we're saying can be relevant to someone who wants to get into real estate from scratch, perhaps from university. You know, they went into a first job that they didn't like and they want to go into real estate. What about someone who's a bit more progressed in life, in their career? They've experienced different sectors, whether it's art, jewelry, cars, whatever it is, and they perhaps have that network and they now want to transition into real estate. What would you advise them to do from that side? And is it relatively similar?
Yeah, look, I think first of all, I mean, I've always been a big believer in you have to do and work in the sector you're passionate about. If you're not fully in love with your sector, you will never get to the pinnacle, because if you don't love it, you won't work. You show, you know. So I think at any stage of your career, you'll have already built up life skills. You've already built up a CV of how you talk to people, maybe how you advise people, especially if you're in the luxury sectors of jewelry and art. But you've got to go for it. You know, the longer you wait, and I was speaking to someone at dinner last night, I was saying to him, like, you know, the longer you wait, another year goes by, another year goes by. And again, sometimes it's harder when you're older. You've got kids, you've got bills to pay, you've got a mortgage, and you're like, okay, well, I'm earning okay now. Do I have to take a salary decrease? But ultimately, so many of us now have short-term pain, but for long-term gain. And we do it every single day. You know, we both left bigger corporate agencies, comfy seats, you know, billing a good amount of money to take self-employed. And it was like, okay, I'm going to have to go 2 steps back, but I'm going to go 5 steps forward. 50. And that's 50 steps forward. And that's what I think, again, a lot of people would have to do. But if you're super passionate about it and you've got those key skills already, you will get that 50 steps further quicker than you expect.
Yeah. And I guess whilst it's the skill set, and when I'm looking at potentially bringing someone into my team, it's right, what skill set or knowledge do they have and what network do they have?
Yeah.
If you have neither, you know, then it's obviously a bit difficult. If you've got no knowledge, but you've got a good network, and the network is a key part, right? If someone's coming into the business and they've been selling, you know, expensive pieces of artwork, the person who's buying that expensive piece of artwork owns an expensive home or has bought real estate or is going to purchase real estate. So whether you're selling yachts, watches, cars, art, they're the same clients that we're dealing with. We just haven't put the pieces of the jigsaw together.
100%.
So I guess it's then you've got the network. It's just asking the same client a different question rather than saying, have you bought any art recently? It's where do you live? Are you looking at moving? Is that something I can help with?
Mate, it's exactly that. And the only then learning is actually real estate and how to advise people. And look, you know, it's you have to put yourself out. You have to work in the evenings. You're going to have to work at weekends, but I would be doing anything I can. If I had a job now, I'm like, Ollie, I cannot take less at the moment, okay? Then I would be looking at this. I'd be going, okay, I'm going to do my normal job 9 till 5, all right? And in the evenings, in the weekends, I'm going to go and learn from the best person around me. You know, you see people now, even the highest entrepreneurs and CEOs who are doing extra degrees and learning in the evenings and networking. And like, that's what you got to go and do. Don't go home at 6 p.m. and then put on the TV and sit there watching the football for the rest of the night. Go out and say, okay, right, how can I go and take an agent out for a couple of hours and learn from him? How can I do courses? How can I work on a Saturday and go and do viewings and learn and listen and look out for what's real estate what different climates around real estate are happening in over the globe, and like what's listed and what's not, and learn. Because then as soon as you go in, you're halfway there.
Yeah.
You know,
and you're ahead of the competition, right?
100%.
And also you make yourself more of an attractive proposition for a brokerage or someone who's building the Ingles team or the Weinberger team to take that person into the business, right? Because they're adding value to me and to the equation.
Yeah.
And, you know, even if people don't want to go into real estate, you know, I think some of the best brokers moving forward will be people that just have good relationships, perhaps with agents like ourselves, and will call us and say, listen, I'm not in real estate. I don't understand real estate. I don't want to understand real estate, but I've got the best relationship with the client. So let's go for coffee. Let's meet up. Let's see if we're a good fit. And if we're a good fit, I can funnel all my clients through you into your team, and you can be my real estate guy. And then you kind of just build this incredible network or spider web of the best art brokers, yacht brokers, real estate broker, and then your client doesn't need to leave that web.
100%. Yeah, I mean, it's. I always look at the Prime drink, and I think we've spoken about it before with Logan Paul and the other guys, KSI. You know, these guys created a drink. They had no idea. They had no idea about the drink sector. And it was one of the hardest sporting drink sectors. It's the hardest one to infiltrate. And because of a following of people that they know and they trust, and people trust them, they're able to go and sell a drink which does like $1 billion in a year. Like, unbelievable. And I think you're completely right. If you have that trust with your client, they will trust you. I just brought Mila onto my team, who's been in the luxury art world. We were pitching on an £8.5 million house in Hampstead the other day via her network. And because they love and they trust Mila. And now Mila is part of my team and a very trusting brand. Like, now we're the perfect synergy.
Before we talk about brand and what you guys need to do with your social media, we are introducing quick fire questions. #QFQ.
I love that.
So
I love that. Yeah, I mean, we've had so many of you ask questions, and we thought, you know what? Let's give the listeners what they want and ask these questions to each other. So it's going to be quick fire. Right, let's go. Benji, the best city to invest in right now?
I'm biased, but I'm going to say London.
And why? Quick.
London, because it representing value. I think over the last 12 to 24 months, the UK market has struggled. Prices have come down. I think now if you compare it to other hubs of the world, Dubai, Switzerland, Milan, we're looking like value.
Love that. Wicked.
You?
Best city to invest in. To be honest with you, I think I have to agree. You know, we've been hit for so long here. And actually, when you look around the globe now, we do look cheap.
You could go and buy something in Mayfair for £2,000 a foot.
Or Dubai for 4,000.
I know where I prefer.
Okay. Second question. How do you negotiate a better deal?
A better deal?
Okay, I'm going to go for this one quick.
Go on.
I would say 2 points on this. Leave your emotions at the door. Do not get emotional, okay? And time. Like, use time on your side. You don't have to rush. You don't have to answer back that second. You don't have to go back. Think about it. Speak to someone else that you know. Take your time. Leave your emotions at the door. Think calculated. Make the right decision.
Silence.
Brilliant.
Silence is king. Now, when I submit an offer, hi, Mr. Blogs, the asking price is £15 million. Hi, Mr. Blogs, just received an offer in writing, cash. The offer is £13 million. The next person who speaks loses. So when I say 13 million, I stop. And I have actually been on the phone before And I counted, it was 95 seconds
Of silence.
of silence.
Brilliant.
They then said, Benji, you still there? I said yes, and I went quiet again.
I love that.
So silence is, in my opinion, how you negotiate a better deal.
Wicked. Love that. I love that.
Next question. How do you know a property is overpriced, and how can you use that in negotiations?
Super interesting one. And actually, I actually spoke about this on my story on Instagram not too long ago. Agents sometimes get too bogged down in price per square foot here in London. And you have to take so many other metrics into consideration now, political climate, financial climates, volume, so cubic meter and ceiling heights. Does it have amenities? What way does it face? So you have to take so many metrics into consideration. But if you know that there are solid comparables out there and you can present the solid comparables in an articulate way, you should be able to have a better room of negotiation, especially when you're representing buyers.
So I would have historically said, how do you know a property is overpriced? Because it's been on the market for X amount of time. But my view on that has slightly changed. And as far as the data would suggest, to sell a property over £10 million takes between 6 and 12 months. So I think for me, looking at the data is important. And if it has been on the market for 12, 24 months and it's out of line with comparable properties, it's probably overpriced.
Exactly that. Okay, last question. In both your experiences, what's a common mistake first-time home buyers make during negotiations?
They represent themselves.
Yeah, I mean,
it's as simple as that. If you're buying your single best asset, most expensive asset, where you've worked very hard on, and you are being guided by the person that has represented the seller, and the agent's job is to get the best price for the seller, that is insane.
Yeah.
So the first mistake that first-time home buyers do is they don't have someone in their corner with their best interests.
Yeah, really good point. One other little nugget. I always tell my missus this when we go and see houses we want to buy. Don't give too much away on the viewing. Us as agents, as advisors, we get... if someone goes in there that's all positive and they're like, oh my God, I love it. Can't see me living elsewhere. I really want it. Suddenly we know that they love it. Okay.
Value goes up 10%.
So then suddenly we understand that when the first offer comes in, that's probably not going to be their last, and the second might not be their last. The third might not be their last because they're going to go up. So try and stay calm, try and stay neutral.
Yeah.
You want to make sure the agent knows you like it because you want to make sure you're serious about it. Don't show all your cards.
So when I bought my first home with my wife, I said to her before we went in, do not tell the agent that we like it. I swear to God, we've walked in, she's gone through the door. The first thing she says is, I love it. And I had to pay the asking price.
That's how not to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Brilliant.
So going back to what we were touching on before, in terms of brand, social media, for someone looking to get into industry, transitioning, what do they do in terms of building their brand, and what do they do on their Instagram, for example? Yeah,
it's a wicked question. And I think we've already touched on today about getting into the neighborhood that you want to kind of get into, that you want to build your career. And then from day one of building that career, you've got to build your brand. And that involves your story of you learning too, because everybody loves a story. And there was quite a funny quote I read.
Stolen the words out of it. We're so alike.
I read a funny quote the other day. It was, no one likes to watch the really fit guy in the gym. They like to watch the overweight guy and his journey. Okay, that's how they get inspired. No, it's more me, mate. But what I'm saying is, start that journey from day one, and people will grow with you. They'll start to buy into your journey. They'll start to buy into you. Tell people hints and tips and add value to your audience. Be engaging. Be proud and confident. And as your career goes, your following will grow, your community will grow, and you're on to winner. Yeah, and don't underestimate what is already in your community. Whether you're 21, it might not be your friends and colleagues that can give you business, but your friends' parents might be able to give you business because they're going to be in their 40s, 50s. It might not be your parents' friend, but it might be a friend that they know. But yeah, as you said, it is the story and it's the journey. It's why
Disney historically works so well, because people love, that fairy tale ending. And, nothing would love more than watching someone's journey as a 21-year-old, 22-year-old who's starting out. And then seeing in 5-10 years. And I think that's, what we've been doing over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
A lot of our followers saw me from when I started doing Instagram when I was 24, 25, 6-7 years ago. And I'm now in a very different position. I'm getting business from people that have followed my journey, because it makes it even more authentic.
100%.
And don't be afraid to put your face on camera.
Yeah.
If you put your face on camera and people take the piss out of you, come to me and Ollie, because we will beat them up.
Go knock them out.
Because you need to have the confidence in doing that, because putting your face on camera builds that trust, shows that you're genuine, and that authenticity that people love.
Love it. Well, that was a wicked one. I hope you got lots of value off of that. If you want to follow us on all social and digital platforms, we are at The Real Estate Talk Podcast. Please also follow Benji Weinberger and myself, Oliver Ingalls. Please, if you have brought a nugget out today, please like, share, subscribe. We want to make this great for you guys. We want to be able to go around the world and speak to the best in class brokers and give you so much knowledge that will help you in the future.
And also make sure you ask your quick fire questions so we can get them answered for you, whether it's on the podcast or in DMs. We want to hear from you.